I was going to say Tom Brady because I see a lot of people saying he's like top 5. And I'm like, that's garbage. I don't think he's top 5. I don't think he's, come on. You're telling me you wouldn't take 5 quarterbacks over Tom Brady?
Rodgers, Mahomes, maybe Russ, maybe.
In a vacuum, Watson.
In a vacuum, Watson, quarterback-wise, I would take Brady over Watson just over what I like, because this isn't a vacuum, and like I do think you got to take into account that he might be a predator. So I would take Brady over Watson. I don't think it's ridiculous to put Brady in. I think I'd take Brady over Allen. Maybe I might take Brady over Lamar. I might, maybe. I don't know. I think it's not ridiculous to put Brady top 5. I would not take Dak over Brady. I would take Brady over Dak.
7 to 8, I'm fine, but like I see people up in like 3 or 4, and I'm like,
as long as he's not over Rodgers.
You can't pick. My surprising player is a guy who I think is rated 2 spots too high.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Bladen Kirk, joined by, once again, I always say this, the 2 greatest co-hosts of all time, Theo Ash and Matthew Spinauer. How are you guys today?
It means more and more every time. It really does.
I'm glad.
It means a little bit less every time for me.
You know what, Matt? I hate you.
But I am doing good. Okay. See? True feelings come out.
As always, guys, make sure whatever platform you on, you like, subscribe, review, comment, whatever you can do. We always appreciate it. We're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, etc. And if you haven't, make sure you follow Stay Hot Pod on TikTok so you can get some great content there as well. Speaking of TikTok, we found out recently that Theo can dunk. Matt, did you know this and you just like not tell me, or did Theo hide this from both of us?
I really don't keep up to date with Theo's athletic ability as much as maybe I should. So I didn't know this. I feel like the last time we talked about this, you said that you were close, Theo. But it's not like you were like, I can dunk, and then Bladen was like, yeah, he can't in the comments.
Yeah, no, I just assumed that you couldn't dunk. I didn't know that you could dunk.
You shouldn't have assuldned anything. That's all I got to say.
You're right.
You shouldn't have
you know what they say.
For me.
Never assume. It makes
never
an ass
assume.
out of you.
I'm 6'4" and I weigh nothing. I have no weight to me that has to go up. I will admit that the rim on this hoop that I dunked on is a little depressed. It's a little bit down. It's a little bit slanted
it counts.
down.
Who cares? Don't let any of these dudes on TikTok try to convince you that it doesn't count because it's just an ever-moving goalpost. You'll dunk at LA Fitness and they'll be like, well, actually the rims there are only 9 feet 11 inches or whatever. So who cares?
I have not specifically measured this hoop. I think it's regulation. I have not been in an actual gym in a long time, probably since COVID started, but I know that I could not dunk on that hoop a while ago. Now I can, and I had a little bit of room to spare. So I think that it counts. I think that it counts. I'm going to say that
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. I can't dunk.
I'm counting.
Anytime that I get close, I like lose the ball.
Yeah,
so, like,
and I'm surprised how many people...
The fact that you can get up with like 2 hands, that's impressive.
And I'm surprised how many people cared. That video got like 400,000 views. Like I'm just me. Like,
it was the way you went into that video. You were like,
I did.
Someone said that I couldn't dunk. They don't know.
They don't know anything about me. They don't know. They don't know that I'm that guy. No, I thought it was funny. I wanted to get into that, but yes, that's the story. That's all there is to it. We'll see if it translates to the I don't know if I could pull it off in game, but or over.
If you could pull it off in game,
not doing it
over any. I don't know if I'm doing it over anybody. I don't know if I've got that kind of
I'm blocking that on my life.
Matt, I would dunk on you. What are you talking about?
Stop.
Well, before we hop in to the NFC, because last time we went over the AFC, that was a mammoth of an episode. But before we hop into that, I want to go over the NBA Finals real quick. Game 3 is in the books, and the Bucks finally get a game. Do we think this is sustainable, or is this going to kind of roll how we thought it would, and are we still taking the Suns?
I mean, I think what the Bucks did was the improvements that we talked about them needing to make. Giannis was more aggressive, and a lot of it was him just getting the calls that he deserved. There were a lot of times where he would drive in and the Suns couldn't do anything but foul him. Right. And eventually that caught up to him when Giannis wasn't missing his free throws. And then when Ayton got in foul trouble and the Suns' options were go small ball, which worked pretty well, but just can't work defensively against the Bucs or turn to Frank Kaminsky, which is something
Horrible.
You can't do.
No, don't do that. He's still playing for Wisconsin when he's playing the Bucs right now. Yeah. He's going back to his college days. He's carrying Wisconsin to a title, or not to a title in Wisconsin, but you know what I mean.
But I mean, I still think you're going to see the Bucs have some ugly games. I don't think that they've all of a sudden figured it out here in Game 3 of the finals, and they're going to be perfect from here on out. But they definitely look a lot better.
Yeah, this was a game where like everything just went right for the Bucs. I mean, Booker just played horrendously. Aiden was in foul trouble early. You know, Giannis was playing just amazing, spectacular. The home field advantage was rocking for them. I just think like, yeah, it was a 20-point loss, and obviously maybe they did figure it out. Like if the Bucs won this series, like that would not be the most shocking thing in the world. If you're the Bucs, you should have hope. But before the series, we predicted maybe Suns go up 2-0, 3-1, something like that. Bucks make it close, and then the Suns end up pulling away. And so far, that's been what's happening. So I can't change the prediction now that it's starting to come true, I guess. So yeah, the Bucks could certainly win it, but I'm sticking to my original prediction. It's so far playing out the way that I thought it would look, and I'm still saying Suns in 6 or 7.
I'm sticking with Suns in 6. My plant Gordon still says Suns in 6. So we're going to keep rolling with Suns in 6. But moving on to the NFL, right? We want to keep the NBA section short because we have a lot to go over with the NFC breakdown, just like last episode. We're going to go division by division, and we're going to answer a series of questions for each, including, you know, which offensive player is going to surprise people, which defense is going to be elite, which quarterback will disappoint, which team will have a better record than anticipated, which team will have a worse record than anticipated, and of course, who will win the division. So starting with the NFC East, we have the Giants, the Eagles, the football team, and the Cowboys. Which offensive player do you guys think surprises people?
Maybe Curtis. I don't know if Curtis Samuel is really a surprise. I know Matt wanted to say Curtis Samuel, so maybe I'll let Matt talk about him. Yeah.
Curtis Samuel has not had the quarterback play that he has deserved since he came into the league. Whether it was a banged up Cam Newton or Kyle Allen or Teddy Bridgewater, I feel like I've seen some stat where he gets some of the best deep separation of any wide receiver in the league. Now that he's paired with McLaurin, and now that I'm not going to sit here and say that Ryan Fitzpatrick is exactly some top tier quarterback, but I do think he's very competent and he can get the ball to him. I expect Curtis Samuel to do really well. That's going to be a solid offense if that offensive line can hold up.
I might say Pollard just because I have been a Zeke hater for a long time now. I said that Pollard was better than Zeke in 2019. This was not just a 2020 thing. And in 2019, Zeke was like statistically a very good running back. And I was saying it at the ASU sports, all the sports journalism people lived together on floor 12. And we would debate all the time, and I would keep going up there, and there was a bunch of Cowboys fans, and I'd tell them Zeke is better, or Pollard is better than Zeke, and they all called me insane. And then this year rolls around, and sure enough, like Zeke is kind of like exposed without the offensive line when all these injuries happened. I think eventually it's going to get to the point where you kind of have to turn to Pollard to be a full-time guy. I think that the talent, when I watch Pollard and Zeke, I think Pollard is clearly the more dynamic guy, and I think eventually they're going to have to give him more touches.
You think that happens this season?
I think it is as good of a bet as any when I'm talking about breakout players in the NFC East. I feel like Pollard's the guy that comes to mind for me.
Yeah, I think eventually they go away from Zeke entirely, and they eventually adopt this whole like running back by committee idea. I think that's the long-term plan. You know, maybe that doesn't happen this year. But
I disagree with you guys. I don't think that Zeke is some fantastic running back, but he is getting paid $15 million right now.
See, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you have to eventually move on from that contract.
150 carries unless something horrifying happens. And I know that we're sitting here, we're like, well, we wouldn't hold out for a running back this long and deal with this much subpar play because the fumbles have been a big problem and whatnot. But we're also not the Cowboys. So I wonder if Pollard's problem isn't a talent thing, it's just getting on the field and getting the touches.
Yeah, because at some point you have to you have to pay. You have to deal with the fact that you're paying him a stupid amount of money. Theo, why are you obsessed with Tony Pollard?
I don't know. I just think he's really good. He's fast. He's good at breaking tackles. I think he's got good vision. He's a dynamic runner. Just watch the talent. Watch the talent.
I've seen him. I just feel like, there's like Dobbins and there's Pollard, and like those are your guys.
Pollard's been my guy. Bladen, who's your guy?
My guy, I'm going to go with the Eagles, Jalen Hurts. Matt knows I love Jalen Hurts. And Theo, you'll remember when we made this chart where we talked about like a quarterback's ability to play outside of structure and all that. Jalen Hurts scored higher on that than anyone else. He plays outside of structure 30% of the time. That's absurd.
That's not exactly a good thing, though.
I was going to say the same thing. Maybe that's not good.
But that's not his fault, right? The way I see it is like his scheme and his team was basically set up for him to fail. No one wanted him there. And now he's in a position where if he can secure that starting spot, which I think he can be a really good player. I think he has the talent to do it. He was great his last year in college, and he had shown nothing but an ability to improve.
I mean, I made a video when I said that Jalen Hurts would be the best rookie quarterback, which you can watch it and see my logic there. And I thought my logic was pretty sound, and the take looked good when he first came in because he was kind of balling and he beat the Saints and everything. Yeah. But I don't know, watching the film by the end of it, I don't know if my expectations for him has a lot of flaws.
He does have a lot of flaws, but I think he can be like competent. I think he can be competent.
So you're telling me that nobody wanted him there last season and he's still on the same team? That doesn't bode well for him. I don't think that
everyone loves good.
All I remember is that there was a discrepancy there was a disagreement between like the owner and Doug Peterson. And Doug Peterson wanted Jalen Hurts, and the owner wanted Carson Wentz. And now Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson. Yeah, Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz are now both gone.
Well, they have no other choice. So
yeah, so Jalen Hurts is the guy. Jalen Hurts is the guy. And I think he's gonna surprise people and play really well.
Right.
You guys disagree with me. I can tell, but it's okay. Which defense in this division is going to be elite? I think this is kind of pretty cut and dry. Can we all just say it on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. Washington.
Washington, I guess, is going to be the best one in the division, probably.
Come on,
but I don't know if they're going to be elite. I don't know. I don't love the secondary totally. But they do have a really good. I love Jamin Davis, and I really do like their front four. And Chase Young is kind of a beast, so it's probably them. I could maybe see the Giants having a decent defense too.
If any defense was going to be elite, it would be Washington.
Yeah, Washington, that's true. By a pretty big margin.
Yeah.
I kind of like the New York defense. New
York doesn't have a bad defense, but I like bad. Washington next year.
I don't know if it's better than Washington.
Yeah, I don't think it is. Now, which QB do you think will disappoint? And don't say Jalen Hurts. Please don't say.
Maybe not Prescott, but maybe with the new expectations that come with a $40 million contract, maybe he will. Yeah. Ryan Fitzpatrick has kind of probably higher expectations right now than Ryan Fitzpatrick maybe should. Yeah. I think Daniel Jones is not the guy, and Jalen Hurts is probably also not the guy. So my answer for this question is all of them.
All of them. Ryan Fitzpatrick is one that I will definitely go with as a guy who could disappoint, just because every time without fail in his career that he's had any type of expectation going into a season, he is always disappointed. So I'll trust history on this one.
It's the cycle, the Ryan Fitzpatrick cycle.
The Ryan Fitzpatrick cycle. It never fails.
Okay. If all of them are going to be disappointing, which I kind of can't disagree with for the most part, which one of the 4 starters do you think gets benched first?
Oh man, I gotta go with Hurts just because they seem to just hate him. They like
they're
looking for any excuse to get to bench Hurts, and it happened last year. And now there's a new coaching staff, and if he doesn't perform well, I don't know if they pick someone up or trade him or what. But like they just seem to be dying to bench Hurts. That's just what it feels.
That's
like
what I'm saying,
Eagles.
And I
don't know who their backup is.
I think he's really good. Coming out of college, it was like Burrow,
Flacco is their backup.
Yeah,
he's
they're going to put in Flacco.
They're going to put in Flacco.
I'm not a Flacco believer, but I can see that.
No, they're not. They just are looking for any excuse. So I would say that maybe hurt. I like Dak a lot. I don't want to say like Dak is going to be super underwhelming this season, but I'm saying maybe
he's got big money coming off of injury.
$40 million. That's like an MVP caliber contract. If
I do have Dallas winning this division too. I think that offense has too much firepower, and I don't.
They have to stay healthy. They have to stay healthy.
Yeah,
if Dak gets hurt again, they're obviously screwed. And that defense is a joke, but
yeah. But I do think that I do have the most faith in Dallas out of anyone.
Totally fair. Okay, so which team has a better record than anticipated? If you think, you're saying Dallas is going to win it, who would you say?
Maybe the Giants. Maybe the defense is okay, and I like the weapons, so maybe the Giants are okay.
That's fair. I think Washington. I think a lot of people
talk about, man.
It is a sad division because it's the winner last year had 7 wins.
Who do you guys have as winning this?
I'm going to lean Cowboys. Dallas. I'm going to
go Dallas. Yeah. Matt,
I'll go Washington.
Okay.
Keep it
That's
fun.
a nice.
Washington's fair. I really like. They have a great defense. They have really good weapons. The key is going to be if Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't suck, and then it's like, well, what about Taylor Heineke? Which that could be a guy who could surprise people if he gets to play. If Taylor Heineke ends up being really good again, but
I have nothing against Taylor Heineke, and he did play well, but he's just the type of guy who could only be overhyped. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like I feel like we talked about this last episode or something. He played one game, so maybe he's got something.
Yeah, we should move on to the next division here.
Yeah,
no. Taylor Heineke for MVP much? No, but moving on to the NFC West with the Rams, Cardinals, 49ers, and Seahawks. We just flipped the switch. We went from the worst division to the best division in the NFL. Which offensive player here do you guys think could surprise people?
Oh, maybe I like... let me think. Do you got one?
Well, it almost sounded like you wanted to say Stafford. But then I was like, there's
Stafford's
no way.
Everyone likes Stafford right now.
That's what I'm saying. Stafford's projected to win MVP. He's top 3 in MVP odds. So,
I think Chase Edmonds, the running back for Arizona, it could get a lot of carries, and I think that he's legitimately a pretty good running back. Gerald Everett, maybe the tight end that Seattle got, could be kind of an interesting weapon for them. There's a lot of guys, a lot of dangerous weapons in this division that could kind of break out. But those may be the 2 that I would say.
Matt, who are you thinking?
Van Jefferson would be a lot better this season. Love me some
Van Jefferson.
He's a very solid route runner. I think he's in a good position to get more targets. He's also on my fantasy team. all those things
Matt
bode
only
well for him.
Matt only likes people when they're on his fantasy.
Oh, the other guy. I remember who I wanted to say. I was going to say Rondale Moore. That's who I was going to say for the NFC
you
West.
Hated him.
Oh,
I did, but remember, I did. I didn't like him as a pure wide receiver. I didn't like him down the field. But remember, in our mock draft episode, I jumped Matt to make the Cardinals pick because I'm like, they need to take Kadarius Toney because they're going to be in these 4 wide receiver sets. There's going to be so many one-on-one opportunities for broken tackles, and they didn't have any wide receivers who could break tackles. Rondale Moore just went to the perfect situation in them, and he's not Kadarius Toney, but after the catch, he's still an absolute beast. He's still going to be able to break some big plays off for them. I don't think they're going to use him all that much as this classic wide receiver down the field. I think that he landed in the perfect situation, so I'm going to say Rondale Moore. That's my actual answer.
That's a really good pick. I kind of think that DK Metcalf takes a bit of a step back.
Step back? Yeah. I think he has less drops, if anything.
It's not. No, I just think production-wise, I don't think he'll be as productive as he was last year. I think he's a good receiver, but people are now going to realize his capabilities. If anything, I think Tyler Lockett has top 10 receiving numbers. I think he explodes. I think people are going to start. I think people are going to start to double Metcalf more. I could see Lockett going off this year.
Okay, maybe I can see that. I think Lockett has a case to be even better. I really do love Lockett, and I've loved him for a long time. So
yeah, don't. This isn't me saying that I think DK is going to be bad. I just think from a production standpoint, teams are going to start to adjust to him more because he's a big body and he can just abuse defenders sometimes. And Lockett doesn't really do that, but Lockett's a solid route runner, and he just doesn't drop anything. So, I mean, I could just see him like one-on-one, he just wins.
I don't know. I feel like it's hard to really focus in on DK because of Tyler Lockett. So I don't know if defenses are going to be able to do that.
That is true. So the Seahawks just are really good in that area with like the receivers they have. But moving on to defenses, I feel like there's really only one choice again for the defense that would be elite here.
I don't know.
How about
you could say the Rams and you could say the 49ers.
Yeah. I would say the team with, two of the best players at their respective position. I think they'll have an elite defense. I think Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey are going to do just fine.
I think so too, but I do worry a little bit about the depth, and I do worry a little bit about their defensive coordinator leaving. Maybe the 49ers, I don't know. I think that the Rams have maybe the best.
Didn't the 49ers also lose?
Yeah, but they're getting Nick Bosa back. I feel like the Rams probably have the best defense in this division, but I do think they take a pretty significant step back from where they were last year.
I mean, sure, but they'll still be I would say easily a top 10 defense. It's just like you can't. In my mind, Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, there's no way they can be on the same team and you not have a top 10 defense. I find that impossible to believe.
I guess that's probably maybe fair.
Yeah, I probably like Rams too. A little bit over to the 49ers.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams are my pick to come out of the NFC. Like, that's Ravens versus Rams has been my pick.
Yeah.
I like the vibe of Stafford over Goff and McVay working with a guy who knows his shit. And I don't know.
Have you heard McVay talking about Stafford? This dude is like so high. I've never seen a coach like so happy.
And Shanahan
before.
too. Shanahan was just on an interview and he was like, I tried to go get Stafford and he's going to put up crazy numbers in that McVay system. I think McVay with someone who is not Jared Goff is worthy of the hype, and especially I think
the coaching in this division is really funny because it's like Cliff Kingsbury, who's really young, new guy, kind of offensive guru, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, and then Pete Carroll. Couldn't be more different.
Yeah, it's one of these things is not like the other, but I might have the Seahawks second in this division. I might have the Cardinals third and the 49ers last is I think how I would rank them.
I can kind of agree with that. I think a lot of people have really high expectations for the 49ers. And I just don't know if they can achieve those, especially with Garoppolo at quarterback.
I don't know. I'm a little worried about the Seahawks. I think that team, at least on paper, looks a little rough.
They do.
And they lost some pieces. That secondary is not great. That offensive line is not super, super awesome. That whole defense. I mean, there's a lot of like really talented players, and then there's a lot of holes. But they've been making it work for so long that it's hard to pick against them. Will go with the Rams to win the division too. We're big Matthew Stafford guys here.
Love Matthew Stafford. How can you hate Matthew Stafford?
I don't know. I don't
think you can. But moving on,
it's not like he's ever beaten anyone. I don't know. Maybe you could be like he's never won a playoff.
When he got hurt for Detroit, they didn't win a game.
Look, I can see the argument being like Matthew Stafford has had decent offensive lines and actually very good weapons in his career, and he never won anything. I can honestly see that as an argument where he's overrated.
He's also had some of the worst coaching in football, and like
you could maybe say that. I understand the Stafford is overrated argument. I think that he's kind of properly rated, and I think that he's kind of like I don't know. I like Stafford, but I understand why people might think he's overrated. But I've got the Rams winning the division. Matt's got the Rams winning the division. Bladen, you've got the
Rams winning the division. Okay. I have the Rams coming out of the NFC too.
I think the more interesting question is who do you have coming in last in this division is the more interesting question. And I've got the 49ers.
I think we have the exact same prediction for this division, Theo. I would probably have the 49ers losing this division too. But to be fair, I think they would lose it at like with 9 wins, like 9-8, and they would lose the division. Like, it's a really hard division.
Matt?
I don't know. Yeah, probably the 49ers.
Ooh.
No one hates the Cardinals here.
No. Cardinals were good until Kyler got hurt, and that was kind of... I think that people kind of forget how good they were. They were winning that division until for a minute there in the middle of the season. So, all right. Sounds good.
Moving on to the NFC North, we have the Packers, Vikings, Lions, and Bears. Matt, you got drafted to the Lions. But which offensive player do you guys think will surprise people? I'd
go with
pick Matt.
Yes, I would go with me, but I think I'm going to end up on defense here. So
you are number 21, so you're either a running back or probably a corner.
Well, that's just like the number from the draft.
I would have lined you up at edge.
Oh, that's right. I'll put you at linebacker. You can fit the run, can't you? You can see that. You're a smart guy. You can see those.
What type of question is that?
You're big. You're kind of a big. You've been hitting the weight room. You're 6'5". Get in the A gap. Go stop the run. I'm putting you at linebacker if I'm the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like one of these guys who comes into the draft and it's like, oh, you can play any position, but I'll like actually be good at it.
You're like Isaiah Simmons, but better at everything. Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it. As far as surprising offensive player, can I pick I guess it's not even surprising, but I like the Lions offensive line.
I was going to say the Lions offensive line. They're very good.
Yeah, I think they're very good. I think their running attack will be good, but I don't know who's going to stay healthy in that backfield, so it's tough to pick any of the running backs. But they have some decent guys who can carry the ball. They have a good offensive line. With the wide receivers they probably should be pretty run heavy. I think their weapons are a little rough right now, although, Bladen, you're probably going to say Williams, aren't you, for your surprise player? Because we like him a lot. But yeah, I like the Lions offensive line.
I actually wasn't going to say Williams. I keep bringing this up. I kind of think Jared Goff surprises people just a little bit.
I think if Jared Goff surprises people, I'm giving that credit to the Lions offensive line.
Yeah, I think
you can do that.
It's like Jared Goff will surprise people. It would be like Jared Goff surprising us because we don't have very high hopes for him.
That's fair. That's fair. Maybe because like our expectation for Jared Goff is a dumpster fire, and I think he could be like average this year. I don't know. I just think Jared Goff's career track shows that every time he hits like an all-time low, he immediately after like bounces to like an above average level, and then after that he hits like an almost elite level. Now I don't think he's going to do that.
League, like 4 seasons.
Yeah, I think you're trying to find a pattern.
I'm going back to like high school and college.
Okay.
So high school he was great his senior year, goes to college, is like really bad his freshman year, jumps up his sophomore and junior year, goes to the NFL, is really bad for 1 year. Sean McVay comes in, mitigates some of his issues. The league figures out that he still can't read defenses, or that he like can't diagnose a cover 2, and then like, and then they totally just destroy any mitigation that McVay did because Goff has no ability to like fix his own issues. But in Detroit, we like their coach, we like their offensive line. If they can find ways to create like new creative ways to mitigate Goff's issues, I could see somewhat of a resurgence.
I like their coach for defense. I don't know if I like their coach for offense. I think their coach is a fun, tough guy.
Yeah, he's not Sean McVay.
He's going to bite your knees off. I think he might be fun to play for. I don't know if he's designing these Jared
Goff. One thing that Belichick used to do for Brady was he would use his defense to say, "Hey, this is where the hole in our defense would be." Try and find that same thing in their defense.
That'd be awesome if his coach was Bill Belichick.
Awesome. Yes. We'll see. Another guy, I don't know. On the Packers, I'm trying to think of anyone on Green Bay. A.J. Dillon really looks great against the Titans. So maybe like Aaron Jones gets hurt or maybe they just are like, A.J. Dillon's awesome. Maybe he comes in and gets some nice games here. But I really do like the Lions offensive line. I think that's one of the more underrated units. And I think Darnell Mooney is the most popular pick for these like breakout guys.
Yeah.
But so many people have picked him that he's not even like under the radar at this point.
Yeah, everyone loves Darnell Mooney, like an excessive amount. It's quite ridiculous. So we spent a lot of time talking about offensive players. Which defense in this division would you pick to be elite?
I kind of like the Vikings. I think their defensive line just got so much better than where it was last year. Adding Dalvin Tomlinson, Pierce, and Hunter back to like
I was about to say Hunter returning.
Patchwork.
Hunter returning is huge.
Yes, and then you got Kendricks, who I think is one of the 2 best middle linebackers in football, alongside Fred Warner. I think him and Kendricks are my 2 picks because they're so good in coverage. And then Barr, maybe he's better than he was last year. And then I think Patrick Peterson has a little bit left in the tank. I think Harrison Smith has a little bit better left in the tank. I think Cam Dantzler's a pretty good corner and played well for a rookie. I think the Vikings defense with Zimmer jumps back up to like kind of a top 10 kind of range.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Lions defense in particular. The Bears lost some pretty big pieces. The Packers have some solid players, but I don't know if I really love the additions that they made. So I'd agree with you. Vikings.
The Packers hired the defensive coordinator of the 0-16 Lions. So I don't know if I totally love that move. I don't think he really has this super big track record of success. So I would be very welcoming of Packers defense slander. Honestly.
Are you predicting the Packers to go 0-16?
No, I'm not. And I'm predicting I'm almost guaranteeing Rodgers will be back, because at this point, Rodgers, A, my grandma said so, and B, I'm thinking about it like, what are Rodgers' options? His options are paying millions of dollars worth of fines to let his team down and let the fan base down and let his tenure on the Packers end on this horrible sour note. And he foots the bill for all of that. Or he just sucks it up and plays. And I feel like option number 2 is just so much better. And with the quote he had recently, he's like, I'm going to think it over the next 2 weeks, and then we'll see where I am. Conveniently where training camp starts. And I think like those are his 2 options. And I feel like door number 2 is definitely the better one. I think Rodgers will be back. And I do think the Packers are talented enough, and they might be my pick to win the division again, although I think the Vikings will be right there.
I'm going Packers to win the division again if Rodgers is back. I guess since we don't know, maybe the Vikings is like a safer pick. But I'd agree with you that I think Rodgers will be back. And I think that the Packers are still really talented team. I like Amari Rodgers too. I think Amari Rodgers is a good addition, even though he hasn't signed yet. From what I saw, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think he will eventually.
Great.
Like it's.
I'm sure he'll sign. He's probably just like to go. He's probably just
waiting for Rodgers to confirm.
Probably just waiting for the other Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. But, they probably want to sign together a new extension into A. Rodgers and A. Rodgers. That's probably what
that offense should still be awesome. And that defense, even though I said, I didn't love the additions that they made, it's still good. It's fine.
Yeah. Z. Smith, Clark, Jair.
Yeah, I'll go say Jair.
Yeah, Stokes, we'll see. But yeah.
But moving on, which QB do you think in this division disappoints?
Everybody's got these huge expectations for Andy Dalton, and I just don't see it.
Who has expectations for Andy Dalton?
Apparently, probably not the same guys you talk to who think James Robinson and Denzel Mims are going to be like top 10 players at their position.
No, I don't know. I kind of feel like every quarterback in this division is properly rated, at least from what I've seen. I feel like Fields is maybe the biggest risk, or Jordan Love if he actually plays. But I like Fields, so I don't even want to say that. But most people know that Dalton's just a bridge quarterback. Most people don't have high expectations for Goff. Most people know what Kirk Cousins is at this point. He's a good quarterback, but he's not, changing the world for a team. And then Aaron Rodgers, I expect to be Aaron Rodgers. So I'll go Jordan Love.
The only thing that would be disappointing is if Aaron Rodgers just doesn't play.
Yeah, I guess
that would be the disappointing piece.
I've got to say Fields, just by process of elimination. I don't think really anyone has really many hopes for Goff. Like if he's terrible, everyone will be like, haha, Jared Goff is terrible. And I kind of feel it's the same deal for Love. I think Kirk Cousins is who he is at this point. I think he'll maintain about the same level of play. Rodgers is great. If he's back, he'll be Rodgers. So I feel like Fields being a high draft pick and being a rookie probably comes in with the highest expectations that it's most likely to fall short of. But I still do like Fields, so that's not it's just process of elimination.
That's fair. So then which teams do you think have better and worse records than anticipated?
Viking, maybe I kind of like, I don't know. I think the Lions had a really good draft, and I know people are predicting them to be like the worst team in the league. Maybe they're like the 7th worst team in the league, but I don't know. I feel
they're definitely not the worst team in the league. The Texans have the worst roster I've ever seen.
That's true. But I think maybe the Vikings surprise, and I think everyone in this division is kind of properly rated. So I don't know if anyone really surprises. I like the Vikings maybe more than most people.
Yeah, I think the Vikings, if anyone had a chance to upset and win the division, it would be Minnesota. We talked about they had a pretty good draft also. Yeah, I don't know though. Outside of Minnesota, I don't think the Bears are going to be particularly great. I don't think anyone has super high hopes for them. Not to mention that entire staff is like ready to be fired. Like everyone in that building is on the hot seat. So I don't particularly love any team to be better or worse.
And maybe Chicago is a surprising team. I mean, they made the playoffs last year and presumably upgraded at quarterback, so maybe they do. I think I don't know. I don't think anyone really is overrated or underrated in this. I think everyone is properly rated. I feel like the Lions are in a good spot rebuilding with 3 first-round draft picks for Stafford. I think everyone is in a good spot right now in the NFC North.
Totally fair. Well, and we all think the Packers are going to win the division unless Minnesota pulls off a miracle. So let's hop into the NFC South. And Matt, with the Saints, Bucks, Panthers, and Falcons, you're a Panthers fan, so I want you to hit this one first. Who do you think is going to surprise people offensively?
Jameis Winston, probably. We've been talking about him a lot, but there's still a lot of people who think he's a horrible quarterback because he threw 30 interceptions, and we don't think he's a horrible quarterback. I think if Taysom Hill ends up getting some more quarterback starts, he'll probably still do okay just with the system that they run. Maybe Michael Thomas is a guy that you could say. I don't want to keep saying Saints players, but Saints players.
I think we've given Michael Thomas enough hype that some people are starting to kind of lean towards Michael Thomas being, that in that top tier of receivers.
I like Terrace Marshall a lot. He was a guy that I rated highly coming out of the draft, and the Panthers got him in the second round. I think he's good. I think DJ Moore is kind of perennially underrated. Maybe he finally breaks out with Darnold. Maybe. Or he already did kind of break out. It just wasn't to the level of like he needs to be in the top 10 or he needs to be this or he needs to be that. Maybe that happens this year. I don't know. And I kind of like Troutman, the tight end for the Saints. I think at least fantasy-wise, he's going to be a guy who has a lot of talent, and I think that he is going to go, his targets are going to totally balloon, and he's going to be at least like a startable fantasy tight end and a guy maybe who is a reliable second option outside of Michael Thomas. So maybe I'll answer Troutman, and maybe the hype on him is getting way out of control, but I like Troutman a good bit.
I have a tendency to pick guys who I think will underperform. These mostly it's just
that's not the question, Bladen. That you ask the question, who do you think is going to surprise, and then you like say, I think this guy actually sucks, which is surprisingly bad.
Well, no,
he's going to be surprisingly bad. Yeah, right.
Surprisingly worse. And we're not going to say bad. Do you see a lot of people? Yeah, actually, you know what? No, I was going to say Tom Brady because I see a lot of people saying he's like top 5, and I'm like, that's garbage. I don't think he's top 5. I don't think he's. Come on. You're telling me you would take 5. You wouldn't take 5 quarterbacks over Tom Brady.
Rodgers, Mahomes, maybe Russ, maybe
in a vacuum Watson.
In a vacuum Watson quarterback wise, but I would take Brady over Watson just over what I like because this isn't a vacuum, and like I do think you got to take into account that he might be a predator. So I would take Brady over Watson. I don't think it's ridiculous to put Brady
Allen?
I think I'd take Lamar? Brady over Allen. Maybe I might take Brady over Lamar. Maybe I don't know. I think it's not ridiculous to put Brady top 5. I would not take Dak over Brady. I would take Brady over Dak.
So I 7 to 8, I'm fine. But like I see people up in like 3 or 4, and I'm like,
as long as he's not over Rodgers.
You can't pick. My surprising player is a guy who I think is rated 2 spots too high on his positional. Like that doesn't count.
That's why I said I was going to go Brady. I'm going to say Godwin. I think people are underrating Godwin.
Okay, I like that.
Chris Godwin is a really good receiver, incredible speed threat, solid route runner, good hands, and I just think people are just like acting like he's just not in the same stratosphere as Mike Evans, when in reality he's probably, I would argue, maybe even better.
I would say he's better. I think he has better hands, even though people remember that Washington playoff game because that was prime time that he dropped all those passes with the screwed up fingers. I think he has better hands. I think he's better after the catch, and I think he has a more well-rounded route tree than Mike Evans does. I think Mike Evans and DK Metcalf are very similar to me, like where they're.
I would say DK is a better athlete.
I'd say that too, but I'd say Mike Evans has better hands. But I think that Godwin might be the more well-rounded player. I like Mike Evans a lot, though. I'm not going to sit here and slander Mike Evans.
No Mike Evans slander. Game. Yeah, no, Godwin's really good. I like Godwin a lot. So that's what I was going to say. I'm saying Godwin instead of Brady.
Also, I want to say Brady, as long as he's not over Mahomes or Rodgers, I don't care where you rank him. That's my only thing. If I see a list where Brady's ahead of Mahomes or Rodgers right now, that's where I'm like, okay, you should slow down a little bit. But after that, I mean, he was like super efficient this year. PFF loved him. I mean, he was kind of balling in the playoffs. I don't know.
He also got away with 3 horrible interceptions against the Packers, and they
weren't
won.
horrible. There was one of them that was like kind of a drop, and there was one of I don't know. But we gotta move on. I wouldn't slander Brady too much.
Yeah, not slandering Brady at all, even though I have a tendency to do that. Which defense do you guys think would be elite here?
The Bucs defense looks pretty good, I gotta say.
They didn't lose anyone.
They didn't lose anyone.
Yeah, the Bucs defense is far better than everybody else's. The Saints still probably have a pretty good defense. But I don't know if they got that much better. So I think on paper, you still like Tampa Bay. The Panthers defense, I think, will be a little bit better too. I like the additions that they made, but I still think you're a little hopeful with some of the holes being filled for them. And then Atlanta probably also still isn't really on that level.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about Atlanta at all. And Atlanta, just my general thoughts. I don't know if you guys want to add anything, but I kind of like Russell Gage a little bit as a wide receiver.
I've heard a lot of people talk about. I
don't think he's
Gage.
a horrible wide receiver.
I haven't
Mike
done
Davis.
A lot of research on
Matt, like Mike Davis, the running back who was with the Panthers last year, is now the starter and kind of an undisputed starter in Atlanta. And Mike Davis is a pretty good runner too. So maybe.
See, here's my question for you. You get this whole running backs don't matter. But then every time we talk about a team, how good the running backs are come up. I feel like
a running back can be good and not be valuable.
Running backs are marinade on steak, or like it's not something that is super important. It's not something that is the meat and potatoes of the team, but some marinades can be better than others. It's not the most, they do enhance things. It's just not something you should be paying, $14 million to.
Davis is a fine running back. They'll be fine with him. Fine and like, fine as in good, not fine as in okay, if that makes sense. Yeah, I like Atlanta a little bit offensively next year. I just don't think that they have a defense that matches, the Buccaneers.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're a threat to win that division, but they might be a threat to be surprising offensively. And maybe if Grady Jarrett balls out and Deion Jones stays healthy and all their corners take a step up, maybe. I don't know. That's a lot of ifs.
Yeah, that's a lot of ifs. And when you got that many ifs, then you're probably just not that great.
All right, so I got probably the Bucs winning this division. I think we might all have that. Yeah.
I can't really see a scenario in which. I mean,
you're not even thinking about the Panthers.
No, I'm not. I think
I'm not thinking about the Panthers.
The Panthers are more likely to have the Panthers are more likely to be the worst overall team in the league than win this division.
Wow.
Sorry. I think that's really harsh.
I wouldn't say that much. Yeah, that's harsh. But I do kind of think the Falcons have a shot at this division. The last time they had a really good offensive coordinator, what happened? They went to the Super Bowl. I could, potentially see this offense being really high-powered. I don't know if I love their defense, but they were really injured last year. Healthy this year. Matt Ryan could be, I'm not saying he will be an MVP candidate, could be an MVP candidate again. They lost Julio Jones. That's going to be the biggest kicker. But they do have other good weapons. I don't think they're going to win the division, but if anyone could upset the Buccaneers, I think they would be the ones to do it.
Yeah, I've got the Buccaneers. All jokes aside, the Panthers don't have the best shot at this division this season. And then I think I have the Saints coming in at second, honestly, still. And then I have the Falcons and the Panthers. But the Panthers, barring something insane, will not be the worst team in the league.
They're not going to win the division either.
They're not. I don't think they're the worst team in the league. Not by a long shot.
They might have the worst quarterback, and I don't love their defense. So, that's just the way it is. I think it's more likely that they are worse.
You don't think Sam Darnold's better than Tom Brady? Weird.
I kind of think the Panthers defense has some playmakers.
They do have
their defense.
They do have Horn. They do have Brian Burns, who I really like. I think he's a top 10 edge rusher.
Yeah.
Derek Brown is okay. So okay. Maybe I can see the vision a little bit. Anyway, I got the Rams coming out of this. I kind of want to be different. I think that Brady might not be quite as good as he was last year. I don't want to keep predicting Brady did not be as good as he was last year. I'm sick of it. They'll probably win the division. Who knows? They probably won the Super Bowl again just to spite me. But I'm going to say the Rams just because they've got a lot of, high level talent there. And I like their coach. I like the quarterback. I like their defensive tackle. I like their cornerback. I like the Rams, but there's a lot of good
I like the Rams
teams
too.
Here.
No, okay. I've been predicting the Rams since they got Stafford to win the NFC. I said they're going to the Super Bowl, and the only way they're not winning the Super Bowl is if they play my Cleveland Browns.
I'll go with the Buccaneers to be different.
You know what, Matt?
Yeah, very different. All right.
They won the Super Bowl last year, and they have all the players that they had last year on this team. So,
very
you know what they say, man. if you didn't get better, if you didn't get better, you got worse. So, even though they kept all their guys,
added Kyle Trask.
You know,
you're right. They're actually going. That actually takes a win off of theirs, even if he doesn't play. Just his presence is gonna.
Just his presence makes them infinitely
If he's good,
worse.
I'm gonna get killed. But please don't be good.
There's no way. There's no way, right? But anyway, stay tuned for Matt's Stay Hot Shot that is going to be released on Wednesday, and we will be back in full on Friday with another listener mailbag. We haven't done one of those in a while, so get your questions in to stayhotpod@gmail.com, or you can hit us on the voicemail hotline at 614-349-8050. We have a lot of awesome stuff leading up to the NFL season, so make sure you stay tuned, stay engaged, and as always, we'll catch you on the flippity flop.